person, horrible guy. Hopefully he's next. But this is the guy who runs us. They got him.
They got him.
They got him in Tehran.
In Tehran.
How they do this, I don't know.
Amazing. Oh, the rain is in. I'm not going to say that.
Baruch Hashem. What are they going to say?
From Tehran.
Yeah, what are they going to say? They're going to bluster a lot, but...
I thought it was in Qatar. People say it was in Qatar.
Yeah, no, there's a bunch of them in Qatar, but this guy, maybe he's in Qatar and he went to Tehran just to... There was some inauguration or something. I didn't read much about it. I didn't have time this morning, but some inauguration of a president or something. Anyway, he showed his face, and that was the end of him. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem, you should have a lichtike gehenim.
Amen.
Right? Just a nice gehenim full of light of all the fire that he's going to be burning in this guy. Such terrible people, these people. Okay. We're in Immerse Ches. I'd like to thank you for being the representative of the student body who lives in the Yeshiva. That's kind of you to come. Shalom. Okay. We're in Immerse Ches. We just saw this amazing idea yesterday about the ultimate purpose of creation and the ultimate purpose of tzimtzum. The ultimate purpose, obviously tzimtzum is, and I'm going to use a word that we now know is not really relevant, right? But tzimtzum is necessary, so to speak, in order to allow the light to diminish itself so that it can be clothed in kalim, clothed in vessels, not obliterate the vessel, be mevatel the vessel, but rather be clothed in the vessel and allow for the expression of finite reality. Okay, that's generally how we understand tzimtzum, right? And we mashal in physical light, right? We tone down physical light so it's just the right intensity to allow us to see differentiated reality. And were we to some spotlight would shine in this room, it would be so bright we wouldn't see the table, we wouldn't see the books, we'd see nothing, we'd white out. Okay. Turn down the light so it's just the right intensity so that we can see what it is that we want to see. Okay, and that's why we're 93 million miles away from the sun and not right next to it, right? Because if we were right next to it, so that sunlight would be too powerful and we couldn't see anything. It would also be a little hot. Take your sunscreen, right, when you go, okay?
Unless you went at night.
Unless you go at night, right? That used to be the joke about the Polish space program, right? When the Americans said they're going to the moon, the Poles said we're going to the sun. I mean, go to the sun, go at night. Right? That was the joke as a kid. Okay. So, the true reason, the panemius reason of tzimtzum is avodas adam. To allow for avodah below. To create a situation where the light is concealed, and therefore below, there's something called avodah. Because after all, if the light weren't concealed, there would be no avodah. Right? Malachim don't do what you and I call avodah. Just do what comes naturally. Right? You and I do what comes naturally for our nefesh ba'amis, but it's not at all what comes naturally for our nefesh ba'amis. I never sell keys himself. I said nefesh ba'amis twice. Nefesh elokis naturally is connected to elokus. Actually connected to godliness. So for the nefesh elokis to do a mitzvah is a natural act. It's like breathing for the nefesh ba'amis. Breathing's not an avodah. It's only an avodah breathing if you're put in a place where oxygen is scarce. Oxygen is hard to find, right? Swimmers, I'm always interested how people swim. That they manage to put themselves in a place where oxygen is hard for us to find. It's there. It's not that it's not there. The fish find it, right? And the fish probably find it rather bizarre that we're turning blue down there when there's all this oxygen all over the place, right? Whereas we honestly find it a little bizarre when they're on the ground and they're going, so, just breathe, you moron. There's oxygen everywhere. What is your issue? But he can't. He can't breathe up here. We can't breathe down there. So it's avodah to breathe down there. So what's the avodah? Well, either you take a tank of air and you do all sorts of preparation, etc., and you have to know how to do that, right? Or if you're a swimmer on your surface, okay, you learn how to turn your head and breathe, and turn your head and blow out, and turn your head and breathe, and turn your head and blow out, and okay, that takes time to learn how to do that. That's an avodah. Right? Breathing in water is an avodah. Breathing in air is not an avodah. It's very simple. We don't think about it. It just happens. Right? If you're jogging, so you might be thinking about how you're breathing or something. But, okay. So for a malach, avodas Hashem is just like breathing. It's just no big deal. And God's revealed and everything's fine. But down here in Elam Hazeh, so avodah is it's a real avodah. It's an effort. Why? Because God is hidden. And that tzimtzum was all about, this is what we say, it was all about bringing about the possibility of what you and I call avodah. Right? The fact that you and I could theoretically decide we don't want to do what God says means that doing what God says means something. An angel can't not do what God says. Now that doesn't mean that angels aren't impressive, but you see some guy walking down the street, wow, look at that guy walk. So good at it. You're good at it. If you just walk, like there's nothing, he's just walking. No big deal. So that's an angel serving God. You and I serving God? Phew. So it's very impressive because there's such concealment, there's such tzimtzum. And that, the Rebbe told us, is the penimius reason for tzimtzum yesterday. And the last thing we saw was Ata, Asisa Shemayim V'Zayis. You made the Shemayim V'Zayis, and that word Ata is written without a hey. The three Atas in davening, in my head right now, they're not there. But there's three atas in davening. Ata sis shemaim, ata chayas kulam. So the ata sis shemaim is written without a hey. It's pasuk in the Chemia. It's written without a hey. And why is it written without a hey? Because what's missing in shemaim ba'aretz, so to speak, malchus. And what's malchus? So the Rebbe said, this is the last thing we said, hey partzufim of malchus. The 5 expressions of malchus. And what were those 5 expressions? Keser, Chochma, Bina, Zoh, which is Zeir Anpin, which is the 6 midas, Chesed, Gvur, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, Yesod. That's called Zoh, and Malchus, Penimius and Malchus. What does that mean? So it's just simply, because that's not the topic of our mimer, but it's just, we ran into it, and so it's something that we can throw out, and we'll remember, we'll either remember, not remember, whatever, but at least it'll be in there, so the next time you run into it in Chassidus, it won't be something you've never heard of. Every aspect, especially of godly reality, right? Every aspect of godly reality ultimately contains within it, all other aspects of godly reality, especially when we talk about the 10 spheres. Each sphere is not only a specific expression of godly reality, it's a specific expression of godly reality that allows all facets of godly reality to be expressed through it and through its particular personality or character. So chesed is chesed, okay, fine. So that's going to be the dominant. We see this in Sfiras Ayla, right? We say chesed, 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 etc. Right? So chesed is the dominant characteristic of chesed, obviously. We're calling it chesed, but what does chesed contain within it? If we were to understand the true being of chesed, what is it? It's a godly reality. Therefore, all aspects of godly reality are expressed in chesed. So there's keser shebechesed, and chochma shebechesed, and bina shebechesed, and zah shebechesed, which is zah pnimi, right? Which is the pnimius of chesed in chesed, and malchus shebechesed, which is the expression of chesed outward, right? All different aspects of godly reality will be expressed in chesed itself, and those are called hey partzuf. So too Malchus. Malchus is an aspect of godly reality and should shine through Malchus a complete experience of godly reality. Because Malchus is the revelation outside of godliness, so to speak. God revealing himself outside of himself, so to speak, like speech. Okay, so what should it be? A complete expression of godly reality in a revealed way, if it's not, so to speak, broken. What's the malchus that is the source of this world? What's it lacking? all of that godliness is not revealed. It's not that it's not there. It's what Malchus is. That's what everything is. Everything is the Eibishter, right? It's all him. The question is that aspect of it revealed? The godly aspect of it? No. So what is that godly aspect? Well, what's revealed godliness? Keser, Bina, Zah, Malchus. That's revealed godly reality, the 10 spheres. That's what it is. And that's what's not there in Malchus. Not that it's not there. It's not shining through in Malchus. Now, that means it's not there. It's lacking because the whole purpose of Malchus is to reveal that whole partsuf, all partsuf, and that whole total reality of godliness should be revealed through Malchus. That's the ultimate expression of Malchus, the ultimate purpose of Malchus. Okay, but the Eibishter wanted that world, which really is just an expression of him, he wanted that world to be a place where you and I have to do something in order to touch him so he concealed himself. And the technical explanation of that is Ata, Asi says to Shema B'Ha'aretz, you, through Aleph, through Taf, right? Like in Tanya. But what's missing? The Hey. What's the Hey? Well, interesting enough, in Tanya, Va'ata Mechaya Eskulam, another of the three psukim we're saying, right? Ata Mechaya with the Hey, and what's the Hey? Hey Motzot Peh. The 5 ways in which the Peh produces sounds to reveal what? Aleph Taf. So Aleph Taf are the Eisiers, which is the godly energy that's responsible for creating the world. How is it created? Through the Hey. Dibur, speech. Okay, so on one level, obviously it's revealed, it's a world. But what's missing in that world? The panemius of all that, the elokus of all that is missing. The external reality of it is there, and that's Ata Mechayes Kula. Right? The Hey, it's Malchus, revelation, so it's revealed. But what's hidden in that revelation? Panemius, no? Godliness, elokus. So Malchus really is. Right? Because everything is that. And that's Tzimtzum, and it allows for you and I to have something called a Veda. So when we sit down and learn, it means something because there might be a desire to do something else. Okay. I get distracted, whatever it happens to be. Okay. So that's what the Rebbe said. Well, they should next to what's this? 5, 6 lines up, 7 lines up after the parentheses. We read this yesterday. Ata chaser hey, you lacking the hey. That be in footnote 54. It gives the maramaka of that. There's 2 maimar in a hemshech. The hemshech means a series of maimar. So the hemshech is called the hemshech of Tefillah Lamesha. That's what we've mentioned a number of times. The Rebbe Shav's maimar. That hemshech is Taf Reish Samach, and which is what 1910 and 1910. Sorry, no, 1900, and that right? Yeah,
that's right.
So that hemshech is there's another mimer called a Kol Yaakov, and the Rebbe just mentions the 2 of them there, and this idea is explained at great length there. Right. The Rebbe in footnote 55 says something interesting. Let's just look at it quickly. It's just interesting in terms of explaining this on a slightly deeper level. Right. But Ulai Yesh Leiman, the Rebbe says. That means the Rebbe hasn't seen this anywhere. There's really 2 different levels. The level of, 1, the concealment in Malchus, and then also the descent of Malchus into a lower level, where godliness is completely concealed. Right? Ata chaser hey. So what's that? So there's Ata. But that Ata is lacking the Hey. Shenechsu mihamalchus hey partzufim. But Malchus is not complete, and is not the true reality of godliness that is ultimately supposed to be revealed through Malchus is not being revealed through Malchus. Hu shenistalku mihamalchus, that it's disappeared, so to speak, from Malchus. Aval loy nasa shinuim behem atzma. But those levels of reality haven't been affected. They're just not being revealed in Malchus. Then what happens? Yarda HaMalchus, Malchus experiences a descent. V'nases Makar Lahavas Elmas, therefore it becomes a source to give being to worlds. And what are those worlds? Those worlds are a place of concealment. Asisas Shemayim. So there's two parts of the process: the Tzimtzum of Malchus itself, and then Asisas Shemayim Ba'aretz. That's how the Rebbe says you might be able to understand it. Okay, beside it. That aside, let's go further in the mind. So Rebbe said that the Pnimis of Tzimtzum is that you and I should have a Veda. Now Rebbe is going to say something even. First, he's going to say something deeper in Chassidus, which we'll do our best to understand, but if we don't understand, that's okay, right? We'll get it the second time around. So when you're learning, it is an important thing to know that when you're learning a Maimer Chassidus and you encounter some idea in what's called Haskalah, some idea in explaining levels of godly reality, you just don't understand. I don't get this. I've never learned this before and I don't understand it, and the Maimer's not explaining it, it's just telling me that there is such a thing. And I don't know what that is. I've never seen it before. Okay, so don't skip it, read it, but you can understand the mimer without necessarily, unless the whole mimer is talking about that, but if the whole mimer is talking about that, then don't learn that mimer, because you're learning something that's not relevant to what you understand right now, right? I'm not going to teach a first-year medical student things that someone doing a subspecialty in neurology learns. Why? Well, it's not relevant to him. He's not going to understand it. It might be that it's going to come up, something like that, and so if you're with a teacher, the teacher might say, well, this is actually a very interesting thing. You'll explain it quickly, but if you really want to understand that, you're going to, so do a subspecialty in neurology and you'll understand that. Right? Okay. But that doesn't mean that I can't understand everything else going on in the mind. Right? If that's all the mimer is talking about, so then pick another mimer, right? But if that's just something, an idea that comes up in the mimer, but it might be I can understand the main point of the mimer without necessarily understanding every detail in the mimer, so that's fine. That's true. Right? So read it and go through and say, look, I didn't get that part, but okay, you want to write yourself a note, right? Zeis chukas. I didn't understand ois ches. Let's say, okay, fine. The Haskalah was, I didn't get it. Okay, what does that mean? At some point, I'm going to sit down and try to figure it out. Right now, I can't do that. Okay, that's fine. Now, obviously, we're not going to skip anything. We'll do our best to explain things. But if I don't necessarily, the next piece is Mamish Haskalah. The Rebbe's going to talk about 3 different levels of light before Tzimtzum. Is that relevant to the bracha I'm making on my cup of coffee? Well, yeah. But it might take a while to get there. Okay, but it's here in the Maimer. The Rebbe talks about it. Okay, Baruch Hashem. The fact that the Rebbeim talk about these things means they do want us to understand. Now, maybe I don't understand it today, okay, but they want us to understand it next week. Fine. This is not, this I think we will understand, because we'll get the equation. Right? In the next paragraph test, the Rebbe is going to tell you why there are 3 such levels, and that is really going to knock your socks off. It's just astounding. The Rebbe says a chiddush in his test that is an absolute chiddush in Chassidus, to a certain degree, almost the opposite of what everybody else says. The Rebbe just says it. It's based on the Rebbe Shad, but Rebbe Shad didn't say it explicitly. We'll see. Okay. So, because the Rebbe's not going to say ula hoisif, to add. I want to explain this more deeply. Okay, and what did we say? Let's just read the line before that. After the square brackets, the last word is tikkun. Hu bichdei shemilu echisaron de malchus, the fulfillment of the lacking malchus, yeh al dei avodas ha'adam, will be through our avodah. That's what we learned yesterday. The Eibishter wants a shutuf in Ma'aseh Bereshis. He wants you and I to do avodah, and that avodah, what do? That avodah doesn't just affect us and the world around, it also affects that level of godliness called Malchus, because that level of godliness was purposefully, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right, brought about a certain lacking in that level, in that it can't truly, it doesn't truly express what it is and what it's all about, which is a means of revealing godliness, mamish. And it doesn't do that. What it reveals is existence, but that existence is an existence of concealment and not an existence of revelation. What is existence in essence? God. What does Malchus reveal? Existence, but not godly existence. We've created existence. And the created existence hides godly existence. Even though that's what it really is, but it hides that.
Malchus.
Malchus.
Hides
Malchus hides Elokus. Shvirsa Kalim. Where did it happen? Malchus. Why? That's what God wanted. Why? So you and I should do something. No, seriously, that's what the Rebbe just told us, that you and I should do something. You're bothered that it's hard? Well, that's exactly what God wants. He wants to be hard so it's real. And if it weren't hard, it wouldn't be real. Blame God. No. That's right. That's what he just said. Right? The guy who built the factory takes, and now we understand that this is part of the teva that the Abish put it. Okay, that being said, the guy who built the factory takes tremendous pride in that factory. He built this factory, he built this company, he built this factory. Yesterday we were in a Chabad house. Wow. Chulon.
The new one?
Chulon, a new Chabad house in Chulon. Oh, it's in there, I can't show you. Unbelievable. Gorgeous. Okay, now what? If every Lubavitcher, right, you go in Shlichus, you go into some office, and you sign on a piece of paper, and they give you a little card, and you swipe the card, and while you swipe the card, so you go and get your family, and you pack them up in the car, and you drive to your place of Shlichus, and what's there, waiting for you, is this huge Chabad house, and a 5-6 bedroom house right next to it, and, okay, now, go do. So that'd be nice. Okay, that'd be nice. But he'd have a completely different relationship to that Chabad house, and probably would run it down over a few years than the Chabad house that he toiled for in 15 years of Shlichus and finally built after raising the money, etc., etc. That Chabad house, wow, he's got a completely different relationship to it, as opposed to the Chabad house that just shows up when you swipe your card, and the Abishter goes poof, and there's a Chabad house over there for you to run into. Okay, that's nice, but no one would say, "Oh, wow, kol hakavod, what a building." Why not? What's the big deal? You didn't do anything, right? When I walk into this building, I didn't do anything. Right? No, seriously, that's Rabbi Shem Tov and Rabbi Gestetner can say, look, Baruch Hashem, we worked for 10 years putting this white thing together, and we're gonna, redo half of it as you guys watch, right? So you see, holes being made where holes were, not supposed to be, and now they are supposed to be, and with it somehow for some reason. What did you call it yesterday? Rework. A lot of rework. Okay, say no. Okay, I don't know anything about building, and it's fine. There's a lot of rework. Fine. Okay. Right now, our office, the office that the teachers use, is sort of unusable because there's two guys in there sanding, making lots of dust, and painting. Okay, so they managed to get every single chair covered with dust, and you can't sit in any other chairs. Okay, say that. How long is this going to go on? I'm not sure. Right? Say it. But I can't really complain, right? Because I have nothing to do with it. And, I got an office out of this deal that's very nice. I have a nice office, and we have these chairs that got wheels, and it's cool. When you want to make the coffee, you don't have to get up. You just wheel the chair over to where the cups are, wheel the chair back, and put the cup under the espresso machine. It's pretty easy. Okay. Who would get, hana from every brick? Someone who was involved in making it, and that's what God wants from you and I down here in Eilam Hazik. Is when, I put it in a slightly different way, a little more personal. After everything we've been through for the last 30 years, can you imagine we're going to get from the Rebbe the next time we see him? After we went through everything we've gone through, and we haven't seen him, and we miss him, and we want him back with us. But we did it anyway. Wow. The ultimate in Tzimtzum, right? So we're living through right now. So that's Eilam Hazik in a nutshell. Okay, but now, interesting enough, what does it say in Tanya? It says in Tanya that the Eibishter did bring about a certain revelation of godliness in Elam Hazan. What's that called? Tzaddikim. Tanya, second parak, right? It's not esoteric. You don't have to go very far in Tanya to run into that. Right? That the Eibishter, the Pshat in the Maimer Chazal, the Eibishter wants, so to speak, wanted to create the world with Midas Adin and saw that the world couldn't stand that. I mean, that concealment was too much. And so what did the Eibishter put in the world? Tzaddikim. Okay. So now even the tzaddik who's in the world, he's hiding. We don't even see him at the end of the show, because we're at the end of the whole thing. Right? We don't even see him. And yet still, somehow, we're going to pull it off. Okay. Amazing. Amazing. The Rebbe is going to be very proud of us. The Rebbe is going to be very proud of us. And that's Malchus. So now the Rebbe says, now the Rebbe is going to talk about these three levels of light that we've been talking about. Mamale, light responsible for the world. Sovev, infinite light that is still ultimately a source of the world, but not revealed in the world. And Etzem Ha'or, before Tzimtzum. So you say that before Tzimtzum itself, there are three different levels of light that are shayach to those three levels after Tzimtzum. Even though that third level that we mentioned, Tzimtzum doesn't affect it. L'hoisif, to add. Gam shat Tzimtzum hayarak ba'or shayach le'elamas. We'll go through this relatively quickly. Okay, we'll try it. Right? And even though that the level that Tzimtzum only affects directly the light that's relevant to worlds, the light that was, you can't, you know that the machlokes between the Gra and the Alter Rebbe was whether Tzimtzum is kipshuta or not. Is there actually a diminishing of God's light such that there's a place where there isn't godliness? No, the Alter Rebbe says. Okay, no such thing. Okay, that being said, so the light is diminished. It's there, you just don't see it. Okay, fine. So now where does that happen? Or mamale, the light that's sharp to the world. You don't see the godly light giving that existence. You don't see the godly light giving that existence. It is, that's what it is. It's just an expression of godly light, but you don't see it. It's covered up. Ba'or ha'gvul, the light of limitation. Sharash ha'mamale, the source of mamale. Now, what does the Rebbe mean? That means, before Tzimtzum, there's three different levels of light. Or ha'gvul, or bilti gvul, and etzem ha'or. After Tzimtzum, what happens? Or ha'gvul becomes the source of or mamale, or ha'bilti gvul becomes the source of or sovev, and etzem ha'or is etzem ha'or, because Tzimtzum doesn't affect it. It is what it is. Okay. Now we say these things, what do we mean? Just very, very, very quickly. A person could have a certain disease that affects a certain part of their body and a certain part of their being, but has absolutely no effect on another part of them. Now, we don't divide God into parts, but just in order to appreciate the fact that there could be levels of godliness that something affects, and a level of godliness something doesn't affect, because it's just that's not relevant to what's going on over there. The Eibishter, and now again, this is all Baratzin, this is all because this is how the Kodesh Baruch Hu wanted it to be. None of this has to be, but it just is because God wants it to be. Okay, so what does God want? Three different levels of God of godly energy before Tzimtzum. What is that? Gora Gvul, which is that godly energy which ultimately will express itself in worlds, or a Bilti Gvul, which will ultimately express itself in infinite revelation, and essential revelation, or it's not affected by anything. Why do these three levels of reality exist? Because God wants them to. Why does He want them to? Because He wants it to be a world, as we'll see later, and that's why it's important to understand these three levels. He wants there to be a world. Does God have to shine? No, He doesn't have to shine. Therefore, does there have to be or? Doesn't have to be or. There's only or because God wants there to be. What's or? Godly revelation. Does God have to reveal himself? No. He doesn't have to reveal himself. Doesn't want to. He wanted to. Why? Why? Oh, because he wanted you and I to put on film. Bottom line, right? He wanted our Veda. That's why he revealed himself. The highest levels and lower level, every level of revelation is ultimately all about the desire of God that you and I should put on tefillin this morning. Why do you want tefillin? I don't know. He wanted tefillin. We learned something about that because he wants you and I to be a shutaf of his, a partner of his in creating the world that he really wants, which is a world where he's revealed. Why does he want such a world? Well, God. Okay. Now we win because he wants such a world, because then you and I get to experience this incredible thing called existence. Get to be. Being is pretty cool. It has its ups and downs, but being is pretty cool. And, I don't think any of us want to give up on this. As we get slower and slower, just not interested in giving up on this. Like this thing called being. And all sorts of amazing things happen and wonderful things happen, and some things happen that are, not so easy to deal with. Right? Living in this country for the last 8-9 months has been a pretty painful experience. Every single day you hear about another Jew who died. Let's get us a shame. Okay. Fine. It's just hard to see. It's very hard to see. Another family shattered. Okay. That's Elam Hazah. What are you going to do? But there's other things in Elam Hazah that are really quite amazing. Personally, yesterday was the birthday of a little guy named Shlomo, named after our father. He's a cute little guy. He wouldn't come to me yesterday. He was scared of me. The last time I saw him, he came to me a month ago, but he was a little scared of me. Okay. Fine. It's all right. You have to put up with that. Right, okay, so Shlomo is his birthday yesterday. He's 1 year old. He's 1 year old. Shlomo has, bli ayin hara, 4 younger cousins that are our grandchildren. 3 are girls and 1 is the little boy who had a bris yesterday. That's bracha that's just beyond belief. Do I deserve that? Don't talk about it. Shh. Don't mention it. Shh. Pulling the wool over God's eyes, and so far it's working. Unbelievable bracha. It's a blast. There's also, there's hard parts. There's hard parts to it. There's amazing parts to it. That's Elam Hazah. That's what it is. And we wouldn't give up a minute of it. Okay, but what's the Eibishter? Why did he do all that? Okay, first of all, we win, so don't complain. Don't ask too many questions. But that being said, he did all that because he wants you and I to take it seriously. That we're down here not just to have a lot of fun and have and enjoy the nachas of grandchildren. He wants us down here to actually do something of real worth. Which having grandchildren is part of that, right? But to do a Veda, to do real things in Elam Hazah, and to make Elam Hazah a place of revelation, not a place of hiddenness. That's what he wants from us. And so he's hiding. Amazing story, the Baal Shem Tov's great-granddaughter, who was crying, came to her father. It wasn't Rav Nachman, it was another grandson of the Baal Shem Tov, came to her father, and her father asked her why she was crying. She was explaining through the tears that they were playing hide and seek, and she found a really good place to hide, and Shlomi was it, and Mendy was it, and Miri was it, and all the different cousins were it, and she had this great hiding place, and at a certain point they stopped looking for her, right? And they kept finding everybody, and there was a new it, but wait, they didn't find her yet. Mendy being it isn't over until he finds everybody, and she's hiding, and Mendy hasn't found her. Oh, but now Miri's it, so she finally hopped after this happened a few times. That they just forgot she was playing. She burst into tears, went to her father. Her father, I didn't explain. Her father said, "You've just uncovered the secret of creation. God's hiding. He only cries when we forget to look." Right? But he's hiding. Sometimes we can't see him. Right? There's events in Jewish history, we can't find them there. Can't find them. You're not going to find them. Now, don't look necessarily in that place, because you won't find them in that place. place. Go look somewhere. He's there, but we don't know how to find him there. Go look somewhere else where you will find him. And you'll find him. You'll put on tefillin, and you'll keep Shabbos, and you'll keep kashrus, and you'll be good to another Jew, and you'll find him. He's there. Right? He's over there in October 7th, they call it. It's generally called Simchas Torah. Yeah, I gotta find him there. He's there. Never find him there. We don't know how to find him there. Okay, you can say that from that, okay, that's just apologetics. Well, you're not gonna find him there because he's hiding so well. Okay. And not chas v'shalom to depress us, but sort of to put things in perspective. Every day in the Holocaust was worse than that. Every single day for 5 years was worse than that. Not all of the barbarism, some of it, not all of it, but it's just. There's no room in your head for that. It doesn't make any sense. Okay. That's also Malchus. Malchus, what do you say about Malchus? Well, there's mothers. Figure that one out. Don't even try, because you can't. But that doesn't mean you can't find them. You'll find them somewhere else. Right? When all is said and done, might we even understand that? I don't know. That's an interesting question. I don't know. I don't know the answer. Don't pretend to know the answer. Don't lose sleep over that one. It might that could be when Mashiach is revealed. We'll even understand that. Who knows? Who knows? Dagam shetzimtzum rak ba'or shayach le'elamis ba'or hagvul shadasham amalei. That's where tzimtzum really is affecting the light. So to speak, the light is being processed and toned down and diminished. So it goes from a 75 million watt light bulb to a 25 watt light bulb, so to speak. Okay, because that's what I can handle in this room. If you put a 75 million watt light bulb in here, I can't handle that. Okay, put a 25 watt light bulb. Okay, that's just perfect for this room. Small little room. That's good for a closet. Okay. V'gam ba'ora bilti gvul. We also saw this. Also, the Ora Bilti Gvul, which is what? The Shoresh HaSevev. That's the source of Sevev. After Tzimtzum, there's two different levels of light, Mamala and Sevev. Those two levels of light have a source in light before Tzimtzum. This sounds very difficult to understand, and indeed it is. Okay, fine, good. But there's a level of light that's the source of that, and that's the light that is essentially Or Bilti Gvul, unlimited light before Tzimtzum. Not infinite. Bilti Gvul. Ella. So that light isn't diminished, but shepu'ulas at tzimtzum ba'or hagvul, the effect of tzimtzum on or hagvul hu ba'or atzma. The light itself is affected. In other words, the light itself, and just to put it in crass physical terms like we just did, the light itself goes from 75,000 watts down to 100 watts, so to speak. It's diminished so that it can be clothed in a vessel. A slightly different example. The electricity that comes from the source of electricity in the electric company, where they're making them right next to the dam in northern British Columbia, where the water's pouring over the turbine and producing the electricity that 1 million people are going to use. Okay, plug your phone in there. No, it doesn't work. What do? A lot of tzimtzum in that electricity until it comes out the little hole in the wall. Right? But when it comes out the hole in the wall, it's actually clothed in those wires, right? It's actually clothed in those wires. Put the electricity that's coming out from the source of it all in those wires. No wires. End. Finished. Done. Right? When you're one of the few places you ever see that. I don't think you see this in Europe. I think America, Canada also, but I've driven across America more often than across Canada because it's actually something to see. Canada's beautiful. What you see is it's empty, but the middle of Canada, it's hard to drive across because it's like driving across a pool table. So driving across America, when you're in rural America, late at night, now you probably don't hear it because we have the air conditioning off if it's hot. But if your windows are open, what do you hear? What are you hearing? The electricity in the wires are buzzing. The electricity is so powerful in those wires, and if a bird were to land on that wire, that's the end of the bird, right? It's literally buzzing, right? I'm sure you've all heard that from the power lines in rural America. It's so powerful in there. Now plug your phone into that. Nothing happens. There has to be a lot of tzimtzum for that electricity to be the source of all those things that you use in your house. And there is. Goes through a tremendous process, and that's all a muscle from a malin. Right? Now, of course, the electricity isn't causing your thing to exist. It's just giving it power. Okay, say that. So mamali causes it to exist also. Right? But a lot of tzimtzum. Right? So the electricity itself is affected so that it's less powerful when it's in the wire that's in your house. That's what's brought about in that level of godly reality. Yerida v'agbola, a descent and a limitation. Until it becomes the source to give being to the worlds. Finite reality. Okay. So if you want to call it chayas also, vitality, okay, so then the electricity works as a source. Now, as a mushal. So now the electricity that's coming out the wires has been mitzumtzam, incredibly limited, so that it can now be the source of the vitality of your cell phone. It can get charged. What about pulas at tzimtzum? How did tzimtzum affect the unlimited light? Pulas at tzimtzum ba'ora bilti gvul. Is simply what? What did tzimtzum bring about? The existence of this halal, so to speak, this empty space. Now, what's the halal really? And it's really astounding. It explains all this. Because what does it say? It says that what? So the light, the Kadosh Baruch Hu mitzamtzem the light, and that brought about the existence of a halal, an empty space, so to speak. Right, and so to speak. I mean, that's the machlekes, the Gra and the Alter Rebbe, right? But we're learning according to the Alter Rebbe. So to speak, Chassidus. So to speak, there's an empty space. What's the empty space? It's a revelation of finite. Finite is revealed. Oh. Now, it's not actually finite like you and I experience finite yet. But the halal is simply the revelation of finitude. Right? Meaning, a space where differentiated reality could exist. So to speak, the notion of the end of something could exist. Like the end of the halal, so to speak. I mean, where's the world? Where are the worlds in that space? What does that mean? The halal is that which reveals the possibility of existence to be finite. That's what the halal is. Because there's also finite existence. In the or before tzimtzum, what's the source of that finite existence? Or hagvul, light that can express itself in limitation. It's the essence of the light. The light is essentially shayach, relevant to limited reality. No, so how does the light of bilti gvul affected by tzimtzum? Okay, I'm going to say something. I'm just going to say it once, and it's a hard thing to understand. But before tzimtzum, the or hagvul and the or bilti gvul were kalul zeh b'zeh. They existed in a state of absolute oneness. They weren't separate. After tzimtzum, what happens? Now they're separate. So there's a realm of or hagvul, and that's called mamali, the worlds. And there's a realm where or bilti gvul, so to speak, can't be revealed. The halal. And so tzimtzum affects it to the extent that there's now, so to speak, a place where it can't be. So to speak. It can't be revealed. It's there, it's just not revealed. Right? And that's what I was going to say here. Right? Tzimtzum barakvul rak shelo ya'ir, it doesn't shine. It's not there, but it doesn't shine b'makom hachalal. The zeu shebe'igul gadol, great circle, say what? Or a bilti gvul noga by tzimtzum. That's why that level was also affected by tzimtzum. Not that the or was affected, but the ability of the or to express itself was affected. The or itself is not affected. In mamala, the or itself is affected. The electricity is affected by virtue of the fact that it's transferred from one wire to another wire to another wire to another wire to another wire. Okay. Fine. So that now it can come out the wall and you can plug a lamp in and the lamp will go on. Okay, so that's tzimtzum in the electricity itself. Right? So now that electricity that's coming out of the dam, how does that process affect it? Okay, well, it can't be revealed through the wire in the house. That level of electricity can't be revealed there. Right? So it's affected by that. But that doesn't mean it itself is as powerful as it was at the moment it came out of the dam. Right? It's just buzzing away. Okay. But it has been diminished by virtue of the fact that there's another state of reality that it has nothing to do with, so to speak. It can't be revealed there, if we want to use that mushroom. The Indian Nagias at Tzimtzum, the idea of Tzimtzum touching, affecting, Hu Sha'or Yerak Sham, it will only be there, so to speak, meaning an infinite reality. We call that an eagle, the circle, right? Circle. What's the one thing everybody appreciates about a circle? What does a circle not have? An end. Ein Sof. That's why the mushroom is a circle. Right? Now, interesting enough, this or, what do we never say about the or? Ein Tchila. That's not true. Hasn't been there. There's a moment in non-time when the Kadosh Baruch Hu, for whatever reason, decided that he wanted to shine, and he wanted there to be or. There's no beginning. There is a beginning. There's no end. There is a beginning. That's why we only call it Ein Sof. Don't call it Ein Tchila. What's the only thing about which you can say Ein Tchila? Not so just the Eibishter himself. There's no beginning. It just is. There has to be a beginning. Everything has a beginning. No. Well, everything does except one thing, and it's called the Eibishter. So or has a source. In what? Ma'or. The luminary. What's the luminary? That's an aspect of Atzmos. Atzmos is the source of the light. Sunlight has a source, called the sun. Now we know the sun has a beginning. God created the sun. The Indian agis at tzimtzum musha or yirak beigel v'loy yizgala l'chutz. It won't be revealed, so to speak, outside of that place. In other words, it's not revealed in what we call the challah. About etzem or in the essence of the light, lo tzimtzum klal. There's no tzimtzum at all. Now we have to understand these three levels because what the Rebbe is going to explain to us. We do understand them to a certain extent. The Rebbe explains in the next chapter. Hainu shat tzimtzum gam lo nagabay. Tzimtzum did not affect or shulifnei at tzimtzum at all. And what does that mean? And we saw this already earlier in the Maimon. We know this. That level of light can be revealed down here. Sevev can't, but it can. Shalochem mitzad or zeh efshar liyos agilui gam b'elamis. In terms of this light, it's possible that it could also be revealed in the worlds, because tzimtzum doesn't affect it. So it's beyond infinite, beyond finite. Mikol makom kevan shakavana b'chol giluyim. Since the intention of all of these different levels of gilui. Now the Rebbe is introducing something quite astounding. Gam b'hagilui de'etzemor shelamayla migeter elamis. Even the revelation of the essence of the light that's beyond any connection to the worlds whatsoever. The third level, the highest level, lamayla, which is beyond gam mihashardish, the source of Seviv Kalamim. Mela, it's beyond Seviv. It's even beyond the source of Seviv Kalamim. Who b'shvil Yisrael, for the sake of Yisrael. Lochein, therefore, we'll talk about this in a second. The Rebbe is saying an unbelievable chiddush here. Lochein gam hamshachas or zeh, so too even the drawing down of this light, yoyidei avedis adam, is through our Rebbe. The Rebbe just said an unbelievable thing. Now, it's not that it doesn't make sense based on everything that we've learned, but it's still an unbelievable thing. Usually when you and I say, Asher Bada Elokim Lasos, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday, but now the Rebbe's just let the cat out of the bag completely. Asher Bada Elokim Lasos, that he created the world to do, and what does that mean? Litakein, to fix. So generally, what do we think? That means we fix the physical world and make the physical world a place where godliness is revealed. Simple job, that's true. It's not that that's not true. That's not the end of it. by our avodah, what do? We affect etzem ha'or shelifnei hatzimtzum. We affect the essence of the light before tzimtzum. Why? Bottom line, and this is what we've talked about before, but now we have to talk about it because it's directly relevant to what we just learned in the Mimer. Everything outside of the essence of God. When we say the essence of God, we don't know what that is. All we know is that's the Eibishter himself, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God. No names, no, just him. That being is completely and totally beyond any notion of limitation. We don't know where he came from because he didn't. We don't know why he's there because there's no reason. We don't know what he does because he's beyond doing. The absolute being, what's called, the only thing we can say about him, Yesh Amiti, true being, and he exists by virtue of himself. He doesn't exist by virtue of the fact that something else gives him existence. No, he just is. What does that look like? No clue. No thought can comprehend such a thing. The only thing we can comprehend is that there is such a thing, not what it is. In Chassidus, we understand its mitziyut, its existence, but not its mahut, what it is. No clue. The only level of you and I that can have any connection whatsoever to that level of reality, not seichel, emunah. Emunah allows us to touch that place because that's where our emunah comes from. The fact that we're mushrash in that place, we're rooted in that place because our neshama comes from that place. Okay, fine. So that being, the first level of light that, so to speak, shines out from that being, you and I will call it etzem ha'or, the essence of light before tzimtzum. Beyond the or ha-bilti gvul, which is light before tzimtzum, that's going to be the source of what you and I call seved, and beyond or ha-gvul, another level of light that exists up there, so to speak, that's the level of light that's going to be the source of what you and I call or mamale after tzimtzum. Okay, beyond all that, there's this level called etzem ha'or. Why does that exist? Because God wants it to. It doesn't exist because it has to. It doesn't have to. It only exists because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants it to. Why does he want it to? Well, because ultimately up there, what is he interested in? You and I putting on tefillin. So why does that level of light exist? To be part of a process that will end up with there being a physical world where you and I will have something called a Avodas Hashem. That's why that level of light exists. That means that that level of light, to a certain degree, is lacking unless it's revealed down here, because that's its ultimate purpose and ultimate destiny. That's the destiny of that light, is to be revealed down here by you and I. So as long as that's not happening, that light is affected. So that means what you and I do down here affects that level of reality. Which is really quite astounding. Okay, I understand that I can affect the apple. This apple is just so excited. Baruch Hashem. It ended up in a store in a religious neighborhood. And someone's going to make a bracha on me. And while he's sitting on the shelf in that, Rami Levi Lemahadrin, he's just so excited, and he's sending WhatsApps to all of his cousins who are in the same orchard and saying, 10 to 1, someone's, now there happen to be a lot of people who shop in Rami Levi Lemahadrin who aren't even Jewish. A lot of Arabs shop there. Right? The one I, might be in. Not in there anymore. Why? Well, because they changed the hashgacha on the fruits and vegetables, so it's not worth it. It's not worth it anymore. It was Badatsu, so he was going there all the time. Okay, fine. But that apple is so excited because someone's going to make a bracha on that apple, and we're going to elevate that apple and fix that apple, and it's amazing. That apple's not going to be a physical means for revealing godliness, because a bracha is going to be made, and not only that, it's now going to become part of the energy that this Jew is going to have, and this Jew is going to use that energy in order to put on tefillin and go on mitzayim and have a kind word for another Jew, and it's just amazing. This apple is so excited. He's going to be part of this whole reality. Oh, okay, that's true. That's all happening. The Rebbe is saying that what else is happening? That when you and I do a mitzvah down here in Olam Hazeh, we bring about the ultimate fulfillment of the existence of the purpose of the existence of etzem ha'or shelifnei hatzimtzum. Because the only reason that exists is ultimately to be part of a process that will end up producing what you and I call Avodas Adam, people serving God down here in Advanced. And those people are Jews and non-Jews, everybody. Right? We're Jews, so we talk about making brachas. Non-Jews they believe in God, live a proper life, right? Shem mitzvahs b'nei noyach, which is really about 100 mitzvahs. Make a legal system, create a country that's a proper country and what they had in mind for America, those guys who started it, right? What they had in mind was basically a country that would be a moral light to the world based on, I don't know, they wouldn't say it this way, but basically based on Shem mitzvahs b'nei noyach, belief in God. Adultery would be, prohibited, right? Not allowed to steal, not allowed to murder, right? No idol worship. Well, basically, Shem mitzvahs b'nei noyach, that was their idea, right? Okay, interesting experiment that's been, fabulously successful in many ways. Beyond, I'm sure that when they look down at it, they're probably wondering what's going on now. But I'm sure when they look down on it, they, wherever they are, they probably say, it's like, it's not bad. It's done some pretty good stuff. Right? There've been some bad stuff, but all in all, this whole thing about America being an evil empire is just not true. It's just not true. And this is from a Canadian. This is hard to say. I grew up rooting for the Russian basketball team against the American basketball team in the Olympics because you didn't want the Americans to win because they're Americans and they're just obnoxious because they just think that we're like the 51st state. We're not. We're a country. Don't worry, I got over it. But growing up in Canada, you're not going to like the big brother next door, right? I mean, who's going to like that guy? Okay, fine. But it's an astounding experiment. In what? Basically, Shabbat mitzvahs b'nei noyach. Basically, right? Okay. Medina shel chesed, the Rebbe says. Right? In God we trust, on the dollar bill, which the Rebbe says is the source of the fact that it's such a strong currency. Right? I said numerous times. There was a beautiful, beautiful thing in the subways in New York once. I still have one. It's up in my house. It was a picture of a dollar bill, and it says, "Count on it. It's on the money." And it's a picture of a dollar bill that says, "In God we trust." Right? It says, "Count on it. It's on the money." Right? Okay. So why does Atzmus or Ein Sof exist? So that'll happen in Elam Hazeh. So when that happens in Elam Hazeh, somehow we're fixing that which is lacking in Atzmus or Ein Sof. Because Atzmus or Ein Sof, its destiny is to be revealed down here, and as long as it doesn't fulfill that destiny, something missing. But Gamam Shokas Arzeh, the Rebbe says. So we're not just fixing the apple, we're not just fixing ourselves, fixing all of reality. So, you have to say this, you have to say so to speak before you say these sort of things, but I mean there's just a, so to speak is just there. Every aspect of reality outside of Atzmus is affected positively by every mitzvah we do. And the opposite is also true, but we don't want to go there. That's a standard. Now, tomorrow, the Rebbe is going to say something that I think you will find absolutely beyond belief. Right? It's just amazing what the Rebbe is about to say. It makes perfect sense based on everything we just said. But no one ever said it. Ever. Okay. And it's based on a diuk and a line in the Rebbe Rashad. And you always wonder, when you learn a Rebbe, when you learn a Sikha, the Rebbe on Rashi,
And Rebbe turns Rashi into just the deepest, most astounding thing ever said. And you always wonder, wait a minute, when Rashi said this, is this what he had in mind or not? Like, did he? I don't know. On a certain level, you say yes. On another level, you say, I don't know. I mean, did he? I'm not sure. Like, right? It's always hard to know. Not chas v'shon to diminish Rashi.